What's up, everybody? I am back with another Echo Chamberlain reaction video. Excuse me. So, this one should be pretty quick. It's titled "Everything Sucks and is the Worst Version of Itself." Might sound a little nihilistic, but at least gives you some kind of perspective on what's going on in pop culture right now. But I'm curious to know what you guys think. But before I continue, do me a huge favor. Something's going on with YouTube. I'm not sure what it is, but can you smash that like button? See if it is working at all. Not sure what's going on with YouTube as of late. But follow Echo Chamberlain on his channel. He does great work. Follow me on my YouTube channel and Twitch as I stream games, review content, and react to videos. I just did one about Henry Cavill. It's doing pretty good. That just him like in certain interviews, and him putting together his PC, all this stuff. It's all just fun, and I'm just like thought check it out. It's fun. And without further ado, let's see what Echo Chamberlain has to say. Okay.
These days, you don't have to scroll far down a feed or stream much media to feel that somehow, almost everything has become its worst version of itself. The Grammys. Sabrina Carpenter, the most manufactured person in existence, with geological strata layers of makeup, popular for a video where her cheeks are hanging out, singing tuneless, casually misandrous lyrics. And Billie Eilish, a dead-eyed pseudo-chanteuse who, despite the prevalence of Ozempic, is a tubby-guts who disports her minge in front of crowds of people with...
It's super ironic. This woman spent most of her early singing career in baggy clothes, and I don't want to say coming across. I'm pretty sure she initially seemed like a down-to-earth chick. But as soon as I'm not sure who got in her ear, or it's just one of those moments where she just felt like she wanted to show off her feminine features a little bit more. But at some point, she really, that Hollywood machine, got to her at some point. It's just, now she's just saying weird stuff at the Grammys and wearing things like this. It seems like completely unnecessary. And it's not even just her. There's plenty of performers that isn't just singing your dang songs. You gotta do some outlandish stuff, and this seems like over the top, like unnecessarily over the top. Because used to be where you can have something like Michael Jackson or Prince on stage giving like an awesome performance without having to be half naked, where part of their testicles practically out just to get a rise out of the crowd. It's not. This is like taking it way further than it needs to be. You're already a talented singer. You don't need to do this.
Their cameras rolling.
It reminds me of the South Park episode where Randy was Lord, the singer, and just to rub your thing and just to get the crowd rolling, he did that and it turned everybody off. That is the functional equivalent to this. It's just this is like Randy rubbing the clit on stage.
So her sweat-slicked vajayjay can be promulgated through social media ad infinitum, making us nauseous ad nauseum, children being flashed her gash, hit with her slit, copping her cooch as the focal point of her chunky physique, and buttocks that look like tote bags full of custard. Apart from white women in their 20s and bisexual men, the wider public doesn't know any of these people's songs. Try making a cultural footprint, not a camel toe hoof print.
I'm disappointed in your species.
Status maxing. We now have the worst possible version of young male narcissism. Two-dimensional, performatively masculine fuck-knuckle freakazoids with no soul or charisma are status.
I heard about that looks maxing. This is like a shameful thing where I've heard about guys, young dudes, very young dudes, hitting their jawline with hammers, just enough so that way it can heal and reconstruct in a way where it gives like a forced, you're forcing like a strong jawline that you didn't get naturally at birth. And they primarily been doing it, well, not primarily, it's definitely doing it just to appeal to females that are just naturally drawn to, not even just with the whole jawline. They get surgery on their legs so they can be like super tall. It's all in the goal. The end goal is trying to get a woman, because guys are just super desperate, man. They're not desperate in a bad way, desperate in just in terms of a normal trying to intermingle with the opposite sex. Back in the day, guys, contrary to popular belief, most guys can handle the rejection. It is a normal fact of life, surface level, that it happens. But the problem it started because ever since the social media really booming, women out there in the world, most women out there in the world looks on social media, see all these guys with particular physiques that they're naturally born with, like tallness. Because I did like a video before where, or at least react to a video where a bunch of girls, all who are like 4 or 5 foot nothing, demanding guys who are not even 6 feet. They needs to be 6'2" plus. And it's like, even some women out there in the world is starting to think this is kind of ridiculous, because, girl, you're 5 foot nothing. Why do you need to? Why do you feel you need a guy who is practically as tall as a building? And these poor guys out there in the world who can't get a date, not because of lack of trying, as some propaganda people like to spread. Guys, do try, but get turned away over the insignificant things that half the time is out of their control. Oh, you're not that tall. Oh, you don't got this particular jawline. It's just like, or you don't got this particular penis size or something. It's just like things that turn guys off. So that's why, other outlets tell men to work on yourself in terms of going to the gym, work on your finances, work on your mental, and just increase your self-worth. By proxy, it'll increase your confidence, which when you get out into the general public or whatever, girls would tend to pick up on that. And you feel confident in yourself, they will pick up on that. That's what guys need to hear more of. But they're just starving for the attention of the opposite sex, because most of them are genuinely good guys, and not in terms of good guys like sissies or very passive. They got good character. Back in the day, that would have been enough. Like, you got like a decent job, you can take care of yourself. You may not be the mega super celebrity, but you're a good guy that will, like, if you work at the post office, you have a good job, you're decent looking, and you're able to take care of somebody. Back in the day, that would have been enough. But now, thanks to the social media, girls get flown out and get all these different experiences. It kind of, warp their perception on who they are in the grand scheme of life. And they think just because they banged this Wall Street banker, now she's equating her status and looks and who she thinks is on her level to something like that, just because she conflates sex with love. So now a guy who works as a mechanic tries to talk with her, she gets the ick. There's no ick, really. She just pretty much exclaiming without, verbally putting it out there, oh, you're not good enough for me, even though she is, because I banged this dude. So if you're not this guy who I'm actually pining for, but I'm just waiting in the wings for him to turn around and come get me, and it's like he's never going to get you because you're just like a pass around. He's moving on. He is never going to claim you, but she will wait till like she is 35 plus until she has to settle. And that doesn't make the guy who knows his lot in life and know his role in life and is comfortable with his lot in life feels like excuse you, lady, you're just right along there in the same area as me. I'm not. Guys like that ain't going around telling like, oh, I'm waiting for Sabrina Carpenter. They know full well most guys are never going to get with Sabrina Carpenter. But there's plenty of women out there who thinks, they're waiting for Drake to come call her up, or the Drake-like guys to come pick her up because they like living at delusional standard. So now it's so many. You can say like, oh, they just haven't found the right one. There's good girls out there. Yes, there's good girls out there. But unfortunately, it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And those who are single are probably in the house. All the rest are probably picked up by other good guys already. So out in public, where guys have to be proactive, they have to go out. And unfortunately, the bulk of it that's out are girls who have that same line of thinking that they are the cat's pajamas, and how dare this other guy who is on her level dare talk with her. So it makes that guy feels bad, and if that guy is impressionable, he's going to do something as ridiculous as these stupid surgeries on their legs or their penis or their jawline. Very dangerous, by the way, in order to make these girls essentially, attracted to them. And all they have to do is just go to the gym, work on their finances, and that build that self-confidence, which ergo women will eventually just pick up by osmosis. But it's just like it's all messed up. And let's be honest, most of these women are at fault with this mindset these young dudes are operating on. They're on the B level, and the that's banging A level dudes, and because the B level guys are lacks the company of the B level girls, the B level girls are looking at them like, how dare you talk with me? It's like because you're the same as me, so get off your high horse.
Maxing, disporting themselves with a blend of Cro-Magnon physicality and effete skin-lasered fine features, like delinquents from Rivendell, complete with anal retentive hierarchies, with the lowest tier being the shamelessly Aryan fascistic term subhuman, and the goal being to ascend to Chad. Whenever women crop up with these guys, it's usually as an afterthought or minor byproduct, so the overriding vibe is actually homosocial. They're like heterosexual twinks. Their overly sculpted, overly smoothed faces are nightmare fuel, and their masochistic, narcissistic pathology has taken them to the extreme of a discredited and dangerous practice of bone smashing, a literal pattering and pounding of their faces with a hammer or bare knuckles to reconfigure and contour their jaw and cheekbones. The most famous proponent of this neo-self-flagellation is a 20-year-old who has given himself the absurd moniker Clavicula, and is as vapid and subdued in that low IQ approximation of being suave as you'd imagine. Status Max comes with a high school-level pseudo-subculture vernacular. Clavicula got dairy-gooned by a 9-to-5 mic maxer after she tried to decompose him with a burger with cheese. Thankfully, Clav realized what the Jester Gooner was trying to do and managed to low cortisol.
I've been internalizing a really complicated situation in my head.
Super Bowl halftime show. Is it possible there could be a halftime Super Bowl show with the intensity of U2 channeling the grief and incredulity of a post-9/11 America into transcendent humanist celebration? Or
is it weird that, I know that it was kind of overdoing it with, being proud of being America and everything like that, because emotions were still raw after the events of 9/11, but I think maybe around like 2010, that kind of dropped off. That passion, that respect they have for the country, because I imagine all these celebrities currently right now, at least the older celebrities, who want to talk about how bad the country is. I'm pretty sure you was right there, like Roseanne or Ellen DeGeneres. You was right along with the ilk, talking about I'm proud to be America, blah, blah, blah. And mind you, that was the Bush era, Bush Jr. era, Republican era. But I'm pretty sure you can find video clips of a lot of these celebrities who want to talk so mad crap about like the country right now, that back then you can find clips of them, pumping their fists in the air, ready to sing the Pledge of Allegiance every chance they get. But now, right now, they're like I said, it's not it's not lost on me on the history, the negative history of America. But we made great strides to be better. Not a perfect utopia, but it's definitely better now than it was maybe 100 years ago, 200, 300, 400, 800. Vastly different. But because I don't know, we're daring to turn away people who are illegal in this country. Now it's like, this country sucks now. And it's like, come on. Vastly better compared to most other countries whose system don't even have something as simple as due process. It's just like, right now it's just it's like it's cool to be disrespectful to your country of origin. You got Olympians over in the Winter Olympics wearing the stars and stripes of America and talking crap, and then have to backpedal what they said in interviews about the country. I'm not expecting you to be all super patriotic, but don't be disrespectful either. There's a happy medium. You can have your personal opinions, but when you're out on that world stage, or outside your house, just basically outside your house, of course, great about this country, you can talk crap about your country without getting yeeted off the street and put in like a Guantanamo Bay, like most other countries would. Not like China would not hesitate to yank you off that world stage, and you will never be seen again. There'll be nobody to come to your freaking rescue. But here, it's like, as crappy as this country is, it's funny how you can just say it freely, and you can be on top of that Grammy stage, say the most vile thing you can about the country, the president, all day long, and nobody doing anything to you. but the country's crappy, right?
Prince with a guitar solo that left the guitar needing a cigarette afterwards? Nope. America and a global audience gets the worst possible version of the halftime show. A talentless, overly groomed, overly stylized performer who no one knows any songs by, who has choreography of sugarcane plantations and background performers gyrating scuzzily with millions of kids watching. Star Wars. The Mandalorian and Grogu Super Bowl ad was the worst before.
Oh, they just released the official trailer, which most people would say this should have been the trailer to begin with for the Super Bowl. It's fine. Nothing to really write home about. I'm going to see it, of course, but it doesn't give you that same thrill, because at this point, Disney Star Wars has put a lot of people in a state of apathy. It's very, I guess I'll see it. Star Wars shouldn't give you the feeling, I guess I'll see it. That's how most people are feeling. It is just either very middle of the road or just completely like turned off, where they don't want to even be bothered with it. Or you can be on the opposite end, where you get those shills that like just, doing those stupid overreaction videos, like, oh my god, Star Wars, oh my god, please, like practically begging somebody on Lucasfilm, like Dave Filoni or somebody, to come pay for their ticket to come to whatever, to interview the director and Pedro Pascal or whatever, so they can get views on their and clicks on their channels, to get revenue, therefore being paid shills, ergo. So it's just like not real, completely inauthentic. Deep down they know this is very middle of the road, very basic, and honestly at this point it's probably best that it should be at least basic, so that way, rather than something like The Acolyte, where it seems like you're trying to do everything you can to ruin this IP that George Lucas created. So now they gotta take baby steps with Baby Grogu feet in order to win back male audience and get on Star Wars fans' good graces, because they completely went off the rails. But yeah, yes.
Performing film ad of the night. The inevitable result of a goofy, one-note ad trying to evoke an advertising trope from another brand that no one under 50 got, featuring a character.
And honestly, the trailer looked like something from Top Gun. That's what people are seeing, and I can't help but see it.
Whose face we can't see, and puppet whose cuteness is played out from a show that was popular for 5 minutes half a decade ago as a promotion.
Man, those shields are hugging that Baby Grogu thing super tightly, and they probably haven't thought about that. They only pull that thing out of the dust-covered box whenever they want to do a Star Wars thing. They don't even think about Grogu. Grogu has long since overstayed its welcome. The novelty, sadly, has worn off. It was cool at first, but they should have started worrying about a movie after the high point they were technically on after season 2. But they completely ruined it by season 3. They completely ruined it with The Acolyte. Honestly, The Acolyte shouldn't have been invented. Anybody who came up with the idea should have been shut down immediately. Skeleton Crew was alright. It was alright, mostly because John Watts actually appreciated and respected IP and didn't try to include any nonsense in it. Ahsoka was at best halfway decent, but man, it's this one needs to do well enough to not crap the bed.
For a Star Wars film with no mystique, allure, or spirit of the long vanished age, when Star Wars was an almost magical part of the culture.
Do you know what? Right? Seriously, though, it's shit. Do you know what I mean?
Dating. Youth dating levels have crashed by half since the 80s. Every second day there is a think piece, usually written by a woman, about the emerging social and sexual paralysis that is set in between the genders, where both sides seem to have tipped past some nominal point where the 49% of sexual and romantic pleasures of being with each other are now not worth the 51% of aggravation, mistrust, and algorithmically conditioned antipathy toward each other, and with women having the consoling, endlessly patient, and affirming patter of ChatGPT as a substitute confidant when their boyfriends stop volunteering to be emotional ATMs. Social media is clogged with shorts and reels of women frustrated that no men ever approach them, and endless commentary from young guys that they don't approach women because they expect to be thought of as creepy. The reality being, of course, that if the guy is attractive and 6 foot, the approach will be contextualized as spontaneous, charming, and seductive, whereas a not-so-attractive guy might be contextualized as impinging upon her, and she should have the right to not be approached in public by presumption.
Yeah. And I say this many times before. It started with the Me Too movement. Everybody started overreacting because emotions was raw, because a few dudes in high positions abused their power, did horrific things to women, and now that permeated the zeitgeist, ruining things for just the social dynamic between men and women. Women tend to overreact to things, going with their emotions, and they put up these little videos like, I don't need no man. I can, open the door myself. I can pay for myself. I can do this and that and the third myself. And pretty much men had to adapt because guys daring to, do the normal thing, walk up to a girl he finds attractive, trying to talk with her, but because he isn't that top 20% of guys that has the looks, the charm, the height, and the status, she deems him, oh, I got the ick. No, he didn't fit that bad boy, top 20% dude that you want truly, but doesn't want you back. And it's like that would never be good enough. You pretty much punish dudes for doing what is naturally within us. Like, oh, I want to help you lift this heavy thing. I can do it myself. Pretty much shaming dudes for doing natural stuff. Now, fast forward a handful of years later, where are the good men at? And then posting videos of them trying to, like, waiting for somebody to get up off their seat to offer them to them, like they're owed something. No, you pretty much shamed guys years ago for doing something that was natural. Now you want it now, but guys are like, no, you flip-flopping. You clearly don't know what you want, and you pretty much did this to us every time we try to do something chivalrous, pretty much. You bad, no, bad man, bad, and it's like, okay, heard you loud and clear. Like, I won't do any of that stuff, but they, some of those ladies did not realize what they had. They overstepped. Now they're begging. Some of them are begging, like, hey, kudos to some women who actually make videos apologizing. We fell for the BS. We fell for the feminism. We want to do better. It's not many, but there are some. But by and large, all of it is just an overreaction, and you punishing normal dudes who have nothing to do with the bad ills of certain few men who just happen to be in a position where they can abuse that position for their own selfish goals. And instead of just realizing those are just a few men who mistreated women, you painted all those guys with the same chromosomes as each other in a broad brush, like we're all like that, and that is just irresponsible. So now you're thinking like, oh my God, where are all the good men at? Oh wow, like girls going out and like, nobody talked to me. Why would anybody talk to you? You posted gym videos for guys who look at you for half a second because you wore skimpy outfits to the gym, or even dare trying to talk with you because he found you attractive in like a normal situation, but then you freaked out on us. So, and then you try to blast us on social media, pretty much ruining certain guys' livelihoods because believe all women was a whole thing. So now you're acting like you're daring to act surprised. It's just weird. It's very weird. The onus is on the ladies to fix this, honestly, because guys wasn't the ones who put the ladies into this decision. Your body, your choice. Well, like, you have to live with the choices that you made. You're the ones who have to take responsibility to fix it, not the ones you punished.
Just men. Add to that the rise of the insufferable toxic female, where attitudes that are deeply toxic and undesirable in men are now being validated, polished, and repackaged in women as confidence or empowerment. For great swaths of people, dating seems like too much of a mission. Sex. Sex is declining precipitously, so even the most basic human drive is now the worst version of itself.
It don't matter. None of this matters.
Influences. Influencers are now the worst versions of themselves. Parasocial relationships. Lil Tay earning $1 million on OnlyFans the day she turned 18, and Pokimane being so in need of relevance she intentionally sits and poses with suggestive little flourishes of her contoured and articulated nether regions on a podcast. Tomb Raider. A fun video game that had a live-action version back in the day, starring Angelina Jolie, who could project the character's requisite upper-class demeanor and style, who could flourish seductive, knowing looks, whose pillow lips garnered a substantial amount of screen time in close-ups, and whose breasts and buttocks, being ample and plump, yet offset with essential definition and in ideal equilibrium, cohered visually in a character that was true to the source material, as well as likely to incite cracking one off as a matter of course, for a hand shandy to be a given.
And nobody brought that, at least forgot the lady from the recent Indiana Jones film. She is, working on the TV series with Sophie Turner as the new Laura Croft, and she is not the one who should be doing making this show. Because I don't have no problem with Sophie Turner as Laura Croft; it's fine, but that woman should not be anywhere near a female-led property, because it's going to be filled with a bunch of girl boss crap that the society is deemed irritated with. And want to be done away with, because that's not how women should be portrayed. It's like trying to shame women or female characters in like these like masculine kind of boxes, where it's not. Angelina Jolie's Tomb Raider, like the old school Tomb Raider games, have her looking very feminine, but she can be a badass, but not to the point where you dare any dude try to help her with anything, because there's like a bad knee-jerk reaction, overcorrection of, dare not make her damsel distress in distress, dare not show her being weak, because we anything feminine is deemed weak, and we don't want to deem ourselves weak compared to the masculine character. Everything, because we don't want to look misogynistic. And it's like you clearly lost the plot. You don't know Tomb Raider at all, because yes, she's gorgeous, but she's a highly skilled Batman-like figure in a way, because she's like a aristocratic woman who inherited all her wealth from her, I guess like archaeological kind of father, who she idolizes. Yeah, a woman idolizes her father, patriarchal figure, and hold him in high regard. and taking up his legacy. And it's like you're ruining what's essentially like something that wasn't wrong. You're trying to fix what's not broken. And Angelina Jolie, so far, in terms of live action interpretations, has the only one that's done like a fantastic job and fit the look so perfectly that, I mean, I like the girl who's dating, well, not dating, I'm pretty sure she's married to Michael Fassbender. I liked her fine as that Tomb Raider. Just the movie was kind of okay, very average. Wasn't exciting. This was exciting. This is like a fun action romp, kind of like the Mummy film. It didn't take itself too seriously, and that's what the problem. I'm afraid we're going to run into something that's going to take itself way too seriously, and it's going to be a girl boss moment all over the place. You'll have probably Sophie Turner's version of Tomb Raider talking down to men left and right, or portraying men as either monsters or incompetent, and women are the cat's pajamas all the way around, and rarely you'll see probably any negative evil female villain, or if she is evil, she either be redeemed or none of it was her fault. It was all due to another man's manipulation. A woman just can't be evil just because she's just an ass. You can't portray that. It's all, you know, like I guarantee you that's what's going to be in the Tomb Raider series. Not Sophie Turner. God, I'm about to say,
an entire hen's house worth of choking the chicken.
Not Sophie Turner, the showrunner of the Sophie Turner Tomb Raider show. That woman, oh God.
A sacrilegious incitement to heresy level of bashing the bishop, and a simian buttock-reddening extent of spanking the monkey. The new iteration is, of course, the worst version of itself, with that chick who...
I don't hate this look, and she definitely worked her ass out for that physique. And yes, of course, like, there are people that, and some of them are women who kind of wish they kind of patted out the broad to, like, kind of show off the bosoms a bit, because Warcraft is known to be a little busty. Not like crazy D-level kind of stuff, but at least around the C level, like a C level cup breast size.
Who was the acting weakest link in Game of Thrones, has a physique that is aggressively mid, and who is deliberately shown in promo shoot pics, divested of the signature canvas shorts and tank top, because the film is aggressively being pitched away from earlier iterations that were
Phoebe Waller-Bridge, that was the woman's name. Golly, I can never remember that woman's name. Phoebe Waller-Bridge should not be anywhere near certain IPs. I'm sorry. Any feminist, activist type of female like Phoebe Waller-Bridge, or that woman who's supposed to be doing that Ray Palpatine movie, they should be nowhere near certain IPs. Let them just do their little indie projects so they can make films about like female empowerment all day long and get whatever box office revenue, whatever coins they might eke out from only like hardcore feminists who probably going to go and watch it, and let there be that lot in life. Those who want to make the big bucks and cater to a fan base who loves this stuff in a wider array of audience, let them run this. If certain studios are desperate to have some kind of somebody, some female to be the producer or showrunner of this, then let it be somebody who respects the material and know who the audience is. Like, I don't know, Bryce Dallas Howard or something. I don't know. I'm just picking a name.
Subject to an aggressively reductivist male gaze, because we live in an aggressive hollowed-out modernity where every trope and signifier has to project and be received with an entire spectrum of cultural aggression. College. Between 2023 and 2025, The Hill conducted 1,000...
She's my favorite female character in pop culture history. She's my personal favorite. I love Laura Croft, and the way like they've been treating her in the past few years, it irritates me to no end.
452 confidential interviews with undergraduates at Northwestern University and the University of Michigan. They asked, "Have you ever pretended to hold more progressive views than you truly endorse to succeed socially or academically?" An astounding 88% said yes. These students were not cynical, but adaptive, in a campus environment where grades, leadership, and peer belonging often hinge on fluency and performative morality. Young adults quickly learn to rehearse what is safe. The cultural narrative for years has been, what's wrong with young men? Why are they falling behind? The Pew Research Center has found that boys are more likely to think they don't need a degree for the jobs they want. And when they do enroll in college, work opportunities lure them away. Colleges are usually left-leaning, so right-leaning students increasingly don't feel comfortable there. And more...
Yeah, and that is a shame. Because guys, by and large, we like to get in certain fields that is either we can work with our hands or don't. Like, take me for example, like, you know, I'm an actor. I did not go to any fancy smancy college in order to get into like acting. I took just some courses that, you know, like, you know, that cost like $400 for like 8 weeks. And you can, of course, advance to other levels like beginners, intermediate, and expert kind of stuff. You know, sure. Similar to some people who might want to be like a chef. You could go to a fancy smashy kind of culinary school, but there are other stuff that doesn't require you to like go into crippling debt in order to make your way into certain fields or things like that. Colleges, let's be honest, is only like probably best suited for those who might begin into like business, a particular, you know, business, or like medical field, or lawyer, maybe engineering. But beyond that, almost anything else you can probably pay a few $100s, like $300 to $500 with taking like a several week course, wherever your local, not local, but like somewhere downtown in your personal city, and learn how to get into this field with knowledge, on your back. These colleges are pretty much indoctrination schools at this point, where everybody's super liberal. Is not free of thought. It won't be inclusive, but not inclusive of thought. So anybody who grew up conservative, who actually truly believe in conservative values, dare not go against the grain that is these little colleges, because they will be looked at funny. They'll be ostracized. No reasonable person will be in these rooms where they will be looked at all, like all weird. You just might as well just stay away from that stuff. It isn't worth the money. And of course, it explains like why girls are like, enrolling at a high number and graduate at a high number, because there's not that many guys enrolling anyway. So of course, it's going to give the I won't say give the appearance, it actually is. Of course, women by ipso facto is going to graduate and enroll at high numbers, because guys ain't participating. Because why bother? Nobody's sending their kids to colleges on degrees that they probably don't need to shell out like, $20,000-$50,000 worth, just for them to party and get indoctrinated with other crap that isn't like where you coming from, like your family. It's all a bunch of, it's useless at this point. Colleges, by and large, is useless unless you get into fields like engineering, medical, or law. outside any of those things, it's not really you know, like it's not really any reason to go to college.
Feel comfortable there, and more men than women lean right. Gradually, people are coming around to the idea that young men, rather than drifting and lacking agency, are in fact shrewdly.
And honestly, I want to say the Democratic man. I'm thinking like those super woke super left leaning men. I wouldn't trust, because that's like with the looks maxing. They honestly, do all that crap just to try to hopefully get themselves laid by certain women. Like, oh, look, I'm one of you. I'm a male feminist. Hopefully to get some ass from you, because they can't stand on principle, so they let the woman lead the whole entire thing instead of the other way around. And ultimately, women like that won't respect men like that. They'll friend zone you so fast while they banging the conservative dude, more than likely because he told her no and put her in her place, and that turned her on more often than not.
Assessing college and the humanities especially, and
if you're a very, very super left leaning man, dude, get off the hamster wheel. That is not going to bode well for you in the long run.
asking, why would I want to be part of that? Star Trek. Star Trek Starfleet Academy, despite a gigantic budget and riding on the back of one of the most adored franchise names in entertainment history, has failed to engage viewers and has not even made Nielsen's top 10 original streaming shows. The studio and the showrunners bet that Gen Alpha would be interested. What they failed to understand is that Gen Alphas aren't interested in anything. Only 15% of Gen Alpha enjoys watching sport. The rates of alcohol consumption have plummeted. Dating rates have fallen through the floor. Socialization in the form of house parties has also crashed, and reading rates among youth of full-length novels has cratered. They literally don't do or engage with anything. So they're not going to focus their blitzed attention on some slightly TikTokified old legacy show. They're looking for whatever the feed, friend group, or creator sphere made feel urgent this week.
Yeah, very. You talking about like, goldfish-like brains with a lot of these people. Certain studios know this, so they trying to force like a memeable moments or whatever, or shorten text spans. They realize that they probably dealing more than likely short attention span people, usually young people. So why do you think we've been bombarded with a lot of projects that have like people constantly spelling out what's happening rather than allowing the scene to play out, or allow body language to play out? Because certain studios know that people spend most of their young lives on screens, so they need something to grab their attention, or if their attention is somewhere else, or they happen to be on their phone, like doom scrolling or something like that, they're not keeping their eyes on the movie, so they have to say what's going on so they can still like I'm walking into the bathroom now, and like it's just like you don't need to do that. Just walk to the damn bathroom. Have the actor walk to the damn bathroom. You don't need to have him say it. It's weird, and they know they're doing this on purpose. In case you might not know, it's all like not emotional manipulation. It's more like scientific more than anything else. They went through the hypothesis and in experimentation. They kind of realize most people spend most of their time on their phone screen, so they need to be able to still grab you in some kind of way. So they have to say everything most of the time. The smart directors know better, but the some of them actually they have to spell it out for you. One second here.
Putting a Klingon in a dress won't cut through to them. The low-quality writing is from writers keen to co-opt existing IPs and self-insert their identity preoccupations and high-strung overwrought emotion, and they don't know how to write male characters with any male gravitas, modes of intermale relations, or masculine ironies and comportment, and whose male dialogue sounds like scrambled, clunky approximations of how young men speak, about as tough and convincing as two kids in a trench coat trying to pass themselves off as a grown-up. Made for a modern audience writing means quips, self-awareness as credibility, and ironic detachment as personality.
And Holly Hunter's feet? How's that factor in?
The show is telling you not to take it seriously because it cannot survive being taken seriously. So franchise...
Yeah, and one of the things somebody pointed out, I don't know if it was Disparu or somebody, where they pointed out this show doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't have its own identity. Not really. They try to they pretty much in every episode they almost are all over the place in terms of tone. They decide they're going to be serious, dramatic, or kind of goofy, like a kind of goofy comedy. Now, not to say that they're not smart writers or directors who can balance the two, but the people behind this don't know how to balance the two, or decide one way or the other, because they try to desperately grab for everybody except true Star Trek fans, and a lot of them can't write their way out of a paper bag. They'll probably have maybe a couple of things in their IMDb page that they've done, and one of those things is probably like a previous Star Trek thing, and it probably wasn't like a good Star Trek thing. So this is going to be doomed to fail.
Snark becomes the worst of both worlds. It irritates the old base and bores the young. So it doesn't work if the baddie of the show has lines of black hole-inducing cringe dialogue like, "Nala, my space boo, my solar flame, my interstellar bestie. Well, the hills are alive with the sound of murder, and I'm just wanked, spanked, and ready to be a diplomat." Dungeons and Dragons. What could be the worst version of the humble tabletop role-playing game world of medieval adventure? Surely modern preoccupations couldn't worm their way parasitically into even this stodgy old mainstay. Oh my god, these illustrations are fabulous and really capture the aesthetic and the vibe.
Damn, they got even Dungeons and Dragons too. God, these poor people are crazy. It's like, why? No, the thing they try to be slick and use an excuse, oh, it's fantasy. I think they did the exact same thing to like Willow. Like, oh, it's fantasy, so we can do... No. Stop trying to use that as an excuse. Fantasy doesn't mean like you can just go hog wild and put every, weird crap you can think of, and if you can get away with it. You try to do that with sci-fi. Like, oh, it's in the future, so it doesn't really matter. Like, no, it has to be some, anchor point. Okay, it's not saying a gay person can't be in like a fantasy or a sci-fi, but if you're putting it's like that fat character in the game Hunter's Gathering, where they try to put all the tick boxes on this one character as much as possible. It's completely unnecessary. That's what this all is. It's nothing but a bunch of tick boxes. It's not like a fantasy land. A fantasy land is pretty much like medieval Renaissance kind of thing, where clearly the backdrop would be like an actual historical period with added wonder to it, like elves and orcs and stuff like that. But it's like take real world Renaissance or medieval Europe, but then throw in dragons and orcs and elves. It pretty much got like a fantasy world. But during that backdrop, sure, I imagine there would have been homosexuals there, but it wasn't out and proud and turning everything into a gay pride parade. It's like, come on, this is it's much. It's too much. Realistically, look at this. This is too much. You gotta tone it down a bit. It's not say, like, honestly, if everything was just like a normal Renaissance type of vibe, a normal D&D like 20 years ago, if this fit woman talking to a fair maiden, if it was just that, I think people would gloss over everything else. Or not everything else, but like gloss over this, because everything else was like, very like, normal. I won't say normal. You know what I mean? Normal. But you're just stuffing every gay pride parade stereotype you can imagine. And you probably got rainbow colored flags hidden in areas. It's like, where's gay Waldo? It's like, golly, tone it down a bit.
With Dungeons and Dragons,
even RuPaul will say, like, you're flaming too much.
Phantasmagorical landscape of sexual and racial diversity, with everyone fucking and sucking and smiling in a diversity orgy, like a modern-day equivalent of one of those Hieronymus Bosch visions of hell. Marvel, more than half a decade on from the natural end of superhero films as a fun, high-spirited part of the culture. New Marvel content is like someone leaving for a new life, who departs a farewell gathering in his honor, in an effusion of cheers and hugs and goodwill, the end of an era heralded with a tender parting of the ways, who then realizes, halfway down the street, that he's forgotten his coat, and traipses back to the host's place, with some awkward banter, a disruption to the natural curve of the farewell, but with a few ironical slaps of the back at the whims of fate, who then gets halfway down the street again and realizes he's left behind his car keys, and then returns once more to the dispersing but still considerable gathering, sheepish and delving around, the mirth all gone, and a sense of things unsettled and awry and self-conscious, who then leaves with a sardonic shake of the head, only to realize, halfway down the street again, that he's left his phone connected to a charger in the host's kitchen. Each time, the experience gets worse and more grim and more awkward for everyone. DC. James Gunn's Superman was bloated and noisy and exhausting and boring and had no spirit and sucked. Book Talk Cinema. Wuthering Heights, the new adaptation of a classic, is the big first entry of Book Talk Cinema, the worst version of a classic adaptation. It bears little relation plot-wise to the original, and, in keeping with the jaded, dubious, almost nihilistic morals of a cynical age, the two leads are both terrible people who do terrible things, which for some reason is compelling and charged with sexual agency and escapist fantasy, a depressing, horny self-absorption as a seductive release on screen, as if sadomasochistic themes as narrative propulsion are somehow profound or revelatory of repressed instincts that women especially might want to explore and even feel empowered by. And yet, also true to contemporary culture, it is bizarrely chaste, with nary a sex scene, a flick with nothing to bean flick to, reflecting the odd coitus coyness of the present day. And yet, this Book Talk Cinema is only going to grow. And guys, you're going to start to get dragged along to this shit. A lot. Doctor Who. The worst version of itself. As a hyper-camp, superficial, histrionic, identity politics clusterfuck aimed at modern audiences, but which fetched up with the lowest viewer ratings in 6 decades, almost mortally wounding a classic British institution. Lord of the Rings. A worst version of The Lord of the Rings, tediously stretched out over multiple series, and aimed at a modern audience that turned out not to exist, with a preposterous girl boss, a Puerto Rican elf who maundered on and on that he'd never seen himself represented on screen as such a character growing up, with a pathetic 37% of viewers making it through to the end of the first season, a spectacular failure of engagement. But the show nonetheless gearing up to provide the most mid-version yet of Middle-earth in Series 3. Neutral viewers smell the culture war stink and avoid it. And younger viewers, who hate being assigned homework, don't show up because the discourse feels like a fight between adults. Predator. After the 80s testosterone and adrenaline-fueled kinetic experience that was Predator, it is astonishing that the iconic creature would be reimagined as a runt of the litter with an elaborate backstory to completely...
I don't imagine, we will return to the whole bad lads thing at all. I'd be surprised if we do. I think for the most part, most people kind of feel this is like a mistake. And if Dan Trachtenberg was smart, I'm pretty sure that was the one who made all the recent Predator stuff. If he was smart, he would shelve this and let it be forgotten. He tried something, it's not really, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. Not like it failed, but it isn't reaching like the popular heights in the general or even like hardcore Predator audience, where it's like, yeah, you turn pretty much like a slasher horror monster in a beta bitch. I may not go that far, but you catch my drift.
Destroy his mystique, making him diffident, clumsy, with daddy issues, sensitive under his performatively toxic masculine exterior, prone to goofy moments of cringe interplay with a legless android, and with a small but avid fanbase shipping for the pair as an endearing duo. It is, at some level, disturbingly engrossing to know there are humans out there whose sensibilities, sense of what masculinity is and what coolness is, are the perfect antithesis of your own. Alien. Alien Earth is the franchise's worst version of itself. Moron characters doing inexplicably dumb things all the time. IQs literally dropped sharply while Ripley was away. A show that leaves you rooting for the xenomorph. A show that makes you feel like you have acid for blood. Like you are ensconced within a disposable inferior host and are spasming around with blind instinct to burst your way free. Literature. Regardless of what the industry has done or not done, the general tide of screens would have washed books away regardless. But books no longer have the cultural cachet or influence to be the center of the cultural discourse. This is partly due to a change in what literature emphasizes, who produces it, who reads it, and how it is discussed, which has actually undermined the capacity of the industry to shape or influence culture. 3/4 of literary agents are women, often progressive in approach and preference, with masculine interests and voices.
Okay. Industry overall, race, 79% more white, 4% gender. God, this is overwhelming. So if you're like a male writer, you better be as good as like as George R.R. Martin or something, because otherwise, you're gonna be struggling to try to put something out there that isn't gonna be catering to the female psyche.
Not always such agents' cup of tea, with the consequence being a winnowing of zeitgeist books that capture the public imagination outside of literary festivals and competitions. There is no contemporary literary scene or big personalities or circles. Few people can name a couple of important contemporary authors. Ugh. Am I a man shouting at clouds? Yes. You, lame-looking big-shot cumulonimbus.
Okay. Yeah, man. All this stuff is kind of like, okay, we're in trouble if things don't take a shift, not like too rapidly, but just a gradual. Because I don't want like the pendulum to swing too far in a different direction. Just need to ease our way back to the middle, something like what we had back in like the early 2000s, where it seems like everybody understood where we stood at. So go one way or too far one way or the other. Everybody's just being weird, and mostly is in Hollywood. But anyway, I will see you guys later for another reaction video. Take care, and I'll see you all soon. Let me know in the comments below what you think of all of his points. I'm curious to know, do you like his take or do you disagree with one of those points? I'm too curious to know. But anyway, I'll see you guys later. Take care.